Welcome back to another episode of Choose Courage Inc., where we skip the boring intros and jump straight into reimagining business and workplace experiences with We Ain't Afraid to Go There conversations. I'm your host, Vivianne Castillo, and this episode is with my co-host, Ash, and it's one of the most tender and honest conversations that I've had in a while. We hadn't recorded anything in a minute, so I proposed that we had some real talk over two questions. The first being, where in your life are you playing small even though you know better? And the second question being, what belief about success are you starting to question even if it still scares you to say it out loud? And so you'll hear me process some things out loud for the first time as we get into what it means to stop playing small. We talk about how we've been conditioned to over-explain and over-prepare, and the quiet revolution of reclaiming rest and redefining success on your own terms. And we also get into what it means to want more, to take up space, to disappear without explanation, and build businesses rooted in joy, not just productivity. So this is for anyone who's been feeling the pull to slow down, go inward, and move differently, even if it scares you. Let's get into it. You ready to get into this?
Let's get in. Let's get in. I was excited about so many of the topics they set, but I'm like, of all of them, these two feel like the ones that I'm in the throes of right now.
So I sent you a bunch of questions, and I think one of the questions that you landed on was, where in your life are you playing small even though you know better?
I love this question so much. Because, for a number of reasons. I love this question because there's something about the world's messaging that just continues to condition women specifically, but Black women especially, to feel like they need to be the craft behind the curtain. And the people who benefit from that behavior the most are out there telling their real stories and telling their truth and really profiting off of this magic that we have that is going on behind the scenes. And I think about that all the time. And when you sent that question, it was after being very thoughtful about some of the meetings that I've had with my team more recently around the startup of, why are we not doing this bigger? Why are we not being more transparent, more open, more confident with the way that we are transforming a number of the conversations in the space, but then also supporting people who are trying to do similar work? And I thought about that. Because this feels very familiar in all of my career, where there's a word that comes to mind often, and I know I've used it in this space before, which is entitled. And the word entitled to me is such a fascinating word because it's typically used by people who themselves are entitled to your space, your time, your contributions. And it's usually only used when people feel and know that they deserve equality and equity in the same way that they are seeing their peers or their leaders or whatnot receive. And the response is always to have the audacity to dream bigger, to have the audacity to demand more, to have the audacity to do the thing. And it always comes out in this word like, oh, well, they're so entitled to my time, or they're so entitled to this money or whatnot. Where would they get the idea of that? Where would you get the idea of wanting more, having more, seeing yourself with more, if it wasn't being demonstrated around you? And I said a lot there without saying a lot.
No, I'm listening. I think I'm curious about, especially with your example of your team, what would that look like if you stop playing small?
So what it looked, I mean, we just had a meeting like that today, and I I sat there in the meeting and it was a download meeting. So we have these events every number of weeks where we sit, not downloads, brain dumps, excuse me, where we sit there and we just brain dump everything we want. What does this look
Love
like?
that.
And this time, before it was very strategic, it was just, this is what's possible. And therefore, this is what we're going to do. And now I went in that meeting, it was today, earlier today. And I'm like, I want it all. I want it all. And I've always been that person who says I want it all. And my husband knows that's my tagline. But to say it to my team and just to be very explicit on, we're manifesting this, and this. And it's not even that we're creating it or that we're planning on it or that we are strategizing around it or we're working towards it. It's like, no, we're manifesting this. It's real. And similarly to, I'm actually on my other screen right now, I'm looking at some of the inspired companies that I want to work with.
Mm.
And I just told them, I was like, yeah, we're manifesting partnerships with this company, this company, this company, with this organization, with this program, with this, with this. And I want y'all to go out and find the right person for us to be talking to do that. And the ones that are in my network, I will be sending emails and text messages and calls to, and we're just going in because that is where we are. We have built something wonderful, and there are people who have ideas who are partnering with these same companies. We're going in and we're manifesting that.
Yes. Yes. There's a couple of things I want to pull out from what you were just saying. One is on the topic of manifesting. And I read this book called The Source. It's by Dr. Tara Swart. And she's a neuroscientist and she gets into the science behind manifesting. And what I'm hearing as well as you're talking about that, just for folks who are maybe hearing this and are like, ooh, that's a little too woo-woo. It really it's a mindset shift. It's
Yep.
not about this, let me make this wish and have it appear. But there's like an awareness that abundance is around you. And it's just about you grabbing it and taking it.
Yeah. Even on the side of the conversation where it's less woo-woo, right? So I'm all about the woo-woo, trust me. I think folks who've listened to anything I say know that I'm on that page. For those folks who aren't, because I'm a Libra and I'm balanced in all things, right? For folks who aren't on that page, when you say a thing as if it is real. So I've heard, especially in the startup space, and coming from men almost explicitly, there are a few men startup founders that I follow on social media, and all of them have made a video talking about how you can't just dream this into real life, right? You can't just and they're staunchly against manifestation. I think that's so fascinating because they do it all the time with the confidence, with the overconfidence that the world gives them in being equipped and, you know, well-meaning individuals, right? The world actually pushes men to this space of anything is possible. So they're already operating from a mindset of manifestation because they're just claiming that what the world has told them is for them without any proof. Literally no proof. They just go out there and do it because the world has told them that. Women, and again, Black women, have a few more steps in that where we have to be the ones not only telling ourselves that, but then we have to exist in that space. So for those folks who are like, yeah, manifestation and it's too woo-woo and whatnot, it's like, but why not me?
Exactly.
But why not me? Why can't I be the one who goes out there with the overconfidence of a mediocre white man and say, yeah, I'm going to work with this company. And I already know that I have a solution for what they're challenged with. So I'm going to sell it to them and they're going to be light in their issue because they have a solution. Right. That is what I mean by let's bring some more realness to this manifestation idea. I feel it's almost a jab at people who would dare to dream that there's more for them. Meanwhile, other people are operating staunchly in that manifestation space with knowing that it's because the world is telling them that anything is possible for they. Well, anything's possible for me too.
That part. And the other thread that I'll pull on from what you're speaking is there's a lot of things that we want, we pray for, we dream of. And then there's a question of, if those things came true right now, would I be ready to receive it? Would I be ready to be a good steward of it, right? So it's like, you stay ready, you don't gotta get ready kind of thing.
I feel two ways about that. Personally, I want to always be ready for what the world has to deliver for me because of course I don't want to fumble the bag, right? That's the fear, is if I get this thing and it's too big for me, or if I get this money and it's too much, or if I get this company and it's too, am I going to fumble the bag? So I'm going to do everything possible to be prepared for that. And I'm going to prepare my mindset, and I'm going to take the leadership courses, and I'm going to understand stats and statistics and finance and marketing and branding and blah, 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 blah. I'm going to do all those things. Also, who cares? Who cares? I have seen people fail up all around me. And this is a loving conversation I have with my husband, who is a white man. This is so prevalent in that community that the preparedness, again, is not even an issue. There are people being hired for roles that are not credentialed just because their best friend is in the hiring role. Just because their best friend is in charge of hiring, they get the role. And here I am sitting there, staying up until midnight, reading X, Y, and Z so that I can potentially be prepared in the instance his blessing comes upon. Go out and get that shit.
Yeah. I see more as it's a self-confidence thing. It's like, if it comes by, I know I'll figure it out. Like, I know it'll work itself out in one way or another, right?
That's the thing, is we will. If it's for you, it's for you. And too often we don't get the idea of the privilege of that, right? This comes again back to, let's change these mindsets of, well, I want to do, Black women are the most educated demographic in the world at this point.
Yes.
And when it comes to a challenge of, do you know what to do when the time comes, or when the opportunity comes, or when the job, who cares? There are literally people being hired to do the job that you know that you can do, who have never done the job before. Amazing. And they have all the room in the world to fail, and all the support in the world to say that they're doing a great job, when everybody can see that they're not. So just do the thing.
I love that. I hope that sets someone free today.
I hope it does. I really hope it does, because freedom is really what we're after. Let freedom be more lucrative in this conversation of opportunity, because the more free we are, the fewer bounds we have, literally, to what we can become.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking to that question, where in your life are you playing small even though you know better? One of the first things that comes to mind is in how I defend my right to disappear, to be unreachable, undone, unproductive. And as someone that talks a lot about, and as someone who practices rest in a very deep way, I still have these moments of betraying it, not with noise, but with this seduction of being needed, only to then abandon this act, this, I'll call it a sacred act of being unavailable. And that's what's on the tip of my tongue right now. And I know I need to maybe sit with that and journal with that a little bit more. What does that mean? It doesn't mean falling off the face of the earth and that abandon the things I'm really passionate about and that I'm building right now, but it means something. And I'm kind of sitting with that.
There's a few things that I want to say to this. The first one being, there's this caregiver word that's popping up in my head, of us being the caregivers of the way that people respond to the actions that we have out in the world, because we've taken on certain responsibilities. And this is by no means is being dismissive to the fact that we have accountability ahead of us for the things that we've created and prepared. Understood. And there's something comforting, and that word's intentional, about being able to prepare people's landing for our decisions. Right? Because, I can't just disappear. because so-and-so is going to be really nervous, or so-and-so is going to be ill-prepared, or so-and-so is not going to have what they need. So I'm going to do these things. Whose job is that really? Do we really have a responsibility to prepare people for the decisions we know are right for us? And that's something I've had to work with my therapist so much on, is just as I am processing through my very grown adult desires, ideas, actions, responsibilities, am I taking that opportunity away from someone else to be just as mature and own their reactions, responses, accountability within the equation of our interaction and engagement, instead of applying this very soft landing for them, or, I'm gonna let you down gently. Let them fall. And I'm not saying that rudely. I'm saying, well, too often we concern ourselves with what we think we can control out of our own comfort. Meanwhile, I was thinking about this a lot lately as well, because I've been wanting to go and do a few things overseas. And I keep saying, well, let me prepare everybody for that space that I'm going to create when I leave here and do those things overseas. And I got so frustrated with how I was pushing and pulling with these individuals on why they should be okay with this idea. They're not going to be okay with the idea because I'd made it too comfortable to rely on me for so many things in their sphere to keep their life moving in the way that they're comfortable with. So then I just told them this week, I'm like, this is when I'm leaving. Good luck. And everybody will be fine. And they'll be upset and they can be sad and whatever.
Hey, this is Vivianne, and I hope you're enjoying this episode so far. And I just wanted to pause for a quick moment to say that this podcast is ad-free on purpose. And we want to keep it that way so that it feels like a space that's just for us and just a little bit more divorced from noise on what we should buy and what we should consume. And so the best way to help us do that is by sharing it with someone you think would really connect with it, someone who you think would feel encouraged or get something out of this episode, or by leaving an honest review, because it helps more folks find us. And honestly, it could be the exact thing someone else needed to hear today, just because you took a moment to spread the word. So thanks for being here. I appreciate you, and let's get back to it. Yeah, I feel that. I like your point of how we've made it too comfortable for other people. And again, not in a bad way. It's just a recognizing the ways that we've made ourselves available, that we've overextended ourselves when we shouldn't have in the first place.
That part where we should not have in the first place. Again, it goes into this caregiver. This is like, need I say, the mammy out in the world of it's our responsibility to care. This is the matriarchal nature of being who we are, or because we've been given so much knowledge, understanding, and leadership, we have to, right? Yeah. So many people are unconcerned with how their decisions permeate into the things that you do every day, and they'll even do it to your face and not even recognize how altered your life becomes from that moment forward. But then when you turn around and do that thing to them, it's, devastating and betrayal.
Yeah. I think part of it for me is I'm trying to anticipate, hedge, or just that greater desire of disappearing, withdrawing more, being less accessible, less forward facing. And a lot of that preparedness comes from the fact that I'm also moving abroad, and knowing where I'm going, I'm anticipating a switch internally, and that's fine. but I think it's more of me recognizing something deeper that I've been wanting for a while that will probably come into reality after this move.
You already know you don't want what you have right now. Right? I had to fight this idea for a minute and say, this is the lukewarm conversation religiously, is we can't be lukewarm about certain decisions. We kind of have to just be. And we think we're just we're letting people down gently, or we're just kind of scooting our leg out of the other side of that line that we're straddling. And the reality is this is a complete pivot in our life. This is a complete pivot in our business. This is a complete pivot in our ideas on what we want. And if we're holding on to this over here, then we're definitely not holding on to what we know we want over here. And we see it, we know we want it. And you really just have to, you just have to turn away from that and walk away, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I know I know I'm personally making some moves towards that already. Even for, humanity centered, a lot of our revenue comes from these high touch consulting engagements with these big corporate clients. And I had shared with my business partner that I need a break from that. I don't want to do that right now.
No.
Until when? Who knows? And even just being able to share that with her and giving myself permission to step away from that, which then requires us to be creative on the business side if we're going to pull that away. But just knowing that won't be on my plate for the next year, 2, 3 years feels amazing.
Yeah. And also it opens up so much space for what will be the new thing, right? I think we grow attachments to what we know are nurturing. And even for our businesses, if we knew this idea was very prosperous and bringing in the revenue, it's like, I think there are a number of examples out in the world right now, business-wise, that are showing that those old models of income or profitability or fame or glory or whatnot, they're drying up. And because they've gone all in on those spaces, now there is no pivot room to say we're trying something new, we're trying something different.
Yeah.
And they probably should have made the decision sooner.
Yeah. 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 I'm grateful. I feel like who I've been, both in private and in public, have allowed me space to make pivots and do what I want without people pigeonholing me. But this actually brings me to our second question that I know we're going to chat about. And I'll kick us off. The question is around what belief about success are you starting to question, even if it still scares you to say it out loud? And my answer again ties a little bit to the first of just starting to question the belief that I must be constantly seen to stay relevant. And for me, it's never been about this pursuit of relevancy, but I know with business, depending on what you're doing, there's an important component to that. And so there's this kind of like always this quiet pressure to always be on, to always be accessible, available. Because if I'm not, then how might that impact my well-being, my income, my business, my strategy, whatever? And so for me, I've been thinking about this idea of not to prove anything, but to really come to a place of being grounded in what matters, really matters for me. And it's scary to believe that I can go quiet without going unforgotten or having that impact my businesses. And again, just for folks who are listening, I'm not saying I'm about to fall off the earth into like a cave or anything like that. I'm fine. I'm talking more of, I think I recognize the ways that I make myself accessible. I recognize in light of a lot of the topics and things I am passionate about, just the cost of that over the years. And so I'm in this place of adopting the model of the Navy SEALs, which has been kind of my theme lately, which is slow is smooth and smooth is fast.
I got that same message this week.
Yeah, really, like slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And I'm in the slow is smooth. Specifically, what does slow look like right now? And that's just been gnawing at me the last couple weeks. But so yeah, so people listening, like, I'm okay. It's more of like it's a recalibrating kind of moment that I'm in.
Oh my goodness. So
It's
there's
so
so many, oh
funny.
my goodness. There's one kind of lit a fire in me because the first thing I'm going to say about you as well as myself is we're already successful. I think we get this. And y'all have some grace with this comment that I'm saying because this isn't like, oh my gosh, I got it all. Da, 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 da. But I think that success needs redefining. And especially in the age of social media, especially in the age of going back to this idea of slow is smooth and smooth is fast, right? How many, how often do you see Jeff Bezos on LinkedIn? And he's not somebody that I laud as being like the most successful person in a model type that I'm trying to follow. But there are people who are working very successfully in their fields and in their arenas, and we don't even hear about these people. It's almost like you do not need to be visible. I think that the visibility has provided us a way to get our messaging out there for people to know who we are so that they can trust our products and that they can be along for the journey as we're making it.
Mhm.
And then there is something about now that I've equipped you with who I am, the submarine's going underwater, right? Still powerful, still doing the thing, but we've got to move different. And once
Yeah.
it gets us captured, it's like, all right, awesome. Still, I love how you caution our listeners on I'm not jumping off a cliff or falling off or whatnot.
Yeah, I'm okay, yo.
Everybody's fine. I don't know. I think that when I think about this question about success, not only am I giving myself the space to say that I'm already successful, I'm also thinking about there is nobody can take that away either. And I think that when we think about going behind the scenes or not being visible, we will be relevant because the impact that we've left in our success is lasting.
Hmm.
It's lasting. And I get this. It was funny. I had somebody come over this weekend and the way they talked about the way that we worked together years ago reminded me that not only is the work that we're doing important and the fact that they remember who you are a success on its own, but it has lasting effects, not just for me, but for that person and anybody else that they do work with. And so when we see that as the success and when we see that as our presence in spaces that we're not in and our name in the rooms that we're not in, that to me is successful. Sorry to get all soapboxy on folks.
No, I think we all need to hear that. And I think for me, when we find ourselves, especially when we find ourselves in these periods of chronic crisis and upheaval, look outside. For me, it's an invitation to recalibrate, to review a little bit of what are some of the beliefs that have maybe either gotten me here. What are some of the beliefs that make me feel like I'm stuck here? What are some of the beliefs that I need to challenge in this moment? It's just, it's an invitation to recalibrate all around and not just be a passive participant in what's happening around you, right?
Going back to the woo-woo side of the conversation, we are in a seismic shift in the way that we see the world and ourselves and how we fit within the world. This to me right now is undeniable. There are too many women, especially, who are looking at things like the patriarchy or men in general, the luxury and privileges that are provided, especially in the United States, as we're looking at how legislation is changing, rights are being taken away, moved, altered, shifted, and what that means for them as individuals and how the reclaiming of certain pieces of that value affect them. And we're entering a completely different world right now. And if folks are not seeing this, like you said, look outside. If folks are not seeing this, then they're living in the delulu.
Hmm.
are living in the space that people claim is so, scary or so problematic. It's time for us to all think about who we are, what our opportunity is, and what impact we want to have on the world moving forward, whether it's individually, out loud, in public, or it's behind the scenes or, a little more quiet. But I think we're all being charged with thinking bigger and moving differently for everyone's sake.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious about what comes to mind for you with that question. What belief about success are you starting to question, even if it still scares you to say it out loud?
Yeah, that it's not defined by anybody else but myself.
Hmm.
Because no one will see my value the way that I see it. And again, this is not a pompous nature that I have. This is a reality that the way that I want to impact the world is happening, even on a small scale. If only one person's life is changed by the thing that I'm doing, I consider that successful. And too often, there's this, for me, there seems to be this image of success that people are trying to get to. And again, all of it's breaking down.
Is-
I think about influencers who have certain jewelry or certain clothes or whatnot, and then all of these brands getting challenged on how much they cost, or reps coming from different parts of the world, or the fact that the label is the thing that makes them quote unquote valuable. And all of those things have been an image of success for certain people. So what happens when those labels get taken away, or when the curtain is pulled and you no longer equate the value with those things to the way that you've seen yourself as successful because you possess them?
yeah.
It has to be self-defined, and you have to know personally that you are successful. And that might mean, me and my baby influence in the world, quote, baby influence in the world is successful to me, but I see it as full on success. I see it as the world.
Yeah.
And that feels weird saying it out loud because, yeah, there will be people that look at what I do and they're like, that's not success.
Hmm.
And that's okay.
Yeah. We're not everyone's cup of tea, but whose you are, they'll be in a big way.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. No, I appreciate the reminder of redefining success. What does that mean look like for you? I was just talking to someone yesterday, about how, when I write a LinkedIn post, when I speak at a conference for a company, whatever it is, I'm always coming at it from this position of speaking to an audience of one.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, like, if even just one person feels encouraged or seen, then that's enough.
Yep.
And I think that mindset shift, at least for me, has helped where the days where the algorithm hates you and you have no likes, basically no likes, very little views, all this, but you don't take it personally because you know that, well, at least one in however many people, saw it,
Mm-hmm.
maybe at least one person walked away with a little bit more hope or a little bit more clarity or a little bit more imagination about what's possible.
Mm-hmm. Again, and nobody can understand what impact that will have. Maybe the person who sees it is Beyonce. You never know. I'm saying that
Yeah.
I was just watching some footage of Cowboy Carter, right? You never know who that one person is and what they're going to do with that information and where it's going to go. So the audience of one, personally, I'm taking that, I'm claiming it. I love that idea because really that's what it comes down to. And, I recognize too that sometimes that does come from a place of privilege, being able to, going back to the startup thing, being able to build a thing. One of the conversations I had with a founder that I used to work with, he said, I built this product hoping that it would change one life. And, here we are, millions and millions of people use it every day. And, going into it, you never know that that's going to be the outcome. But if you think about one person's problem and solving that one problem in a very specific way and them being able to see their life change because of it, success.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'll share something that I haven't spoken out loud before, but I've even been thinking about this in terms of business and how does that impact some decisions that we make. So for Moonpause, my astrology for pets app, one thing that I always keep in mind is I heard this story from someone. I was telling them about our app and they're like, oh my gosh, my friend would love that app. And I always think about this friend, and this friend of theirs is in such deep chronic pain that the thing that allows this person to continue on living, to feel like that there's purpose, is that they really love their dogs. And their dogs are what get them through.
Yeah.
And I always think about this friend. I always think about this person of, if we're designing something new or if we're approaching Moonpause in a certain way, will it be this moment of joy and relief to that person? Will it also be accessible? Will it be something that can make that person's day brighter? But that's actually like the person lately that I've been anchoring a lot of some of these decisions that we're making. And because, yeah, when that person experiences this app, I want it to be that difference for them. It's more than just this fun entertainment kind of thing. I want it to be this moment of relief, And that's a deeper thing for Moonpause, and even just how we behind the scenes have been thinking about it for the business is it's not entertainment for us. We're like, how do we provide people with a moment of relief, with a moment of joy, with a moment of wonder in light of whatever this is outside, right? That we're all walking through and experiencing right now. So, yeah.
With a moment of care.
Okay.
I think about all of the pet owners that I know. And yeah, there are such deep relationships there that folks, it was such an overlooked market, right? I love Moonpaw's idea because it was such an overlooked market. Meanwhile, I know people who paint their dogs' toenails and they take them for spa treatments and all this other stuff because their babies are their dogs. Or that is the single point of joy. Or they have a service animal that is, they want to know more about on a ethereal level, right? Woo woo again, here we go. But it's so beautiful to be able to provide that, right? And then you think about that one person, and sure, it might not be that deep for everybody, but it is for the one.
Exactly.
It is for the one. Yeah. I always think of that. I've said this on, so many talks and podcasts. People are probably tired of me saying this story, but it's the starfish story, the little girl running down the beach, tossing starfish back into the ocean. And, so-and-so comes up and says, there's so many starfish. Are you really making a difference? She tosses one in the ocean and says, I did for that one, right? That's the point is you save one, you make joy for one, you bring care for one, you bring relief, awakening, transparency, knowledge, whatever from one person and change that for them.
Yeah.
So
that's it. Thanks for hanging out with us and diving into some of these real and unfiltered conversations. We know your time is valuable, and so we don't take it for granted. If today's episode made you think, if it challenged you, or gave you something new to consider, we'd love for you to hit that follow button on whatever streaming service you're using. That way, you'll never miss an episode when we drop them. And if you want to go even deeper, sign up for our newsletter at choosecourageinc.com, and you'll get updates on new episodes, access to exclusive freebies, and first dibs on coaching opportunities and other resources to help you make bold moves in your life and business. So we appreciate you, we see you, and we're rooting for you. Until next time, keep choosing courage over comfort, and a friendly reminder to drink some water.